All right, guys, so today we're going to go over making evidence-based claims, and I'm going to give you an example text. I'll attach the link down below, so just be sure to open that up while you go over this video because I'm going to constantly cite it. And so, yeah, I'll just give you kind of a general rundown of evidence-based claims and kind of how to form and use them. Okay, so here we have a evidence-based claims checklist. The first category is content and analysis. So in this, you just kind of go over the clarity of the claim, the conformity to the text the claim has, and the understanding of the topic that you have with this evidence-based claim. So the first one is it states a conclusion that you have come to after reading the text and that you want others to think about. So in order to come up with an evidence-based claim, you read through your text, and then after reading it, you have like a culminating kind of conclusion that you want others to be able to understand. So you're going to use evidence from this text to back it up. The next check mark would be conformity to the text, and that is based upon and linked to the ideas and details of the text that you have read. So you're basically just enforcing knowledge that you gain from this text in your evidence-based claim. The next check mark is understanding of the topic, and that demonstrates knowledge of and sound thinking about a text or topic that matters to you and others. So that's just your own ability to understand and kind of relate a topic to the evidence that you have. Moving to the next subject of the check mark or checklist, that's command of evidence. So that's divided up into reasoning and use and integration of evidence. So in reasoning, it's all parts of the claim are supported by specific evidence that you can point to in the text. So that's simply just having the evidence to back up the claims you're trying to make. And then the next one is uses direct quotations and examples from the text to explain and prove its conclusion. So that's just your ability to properly cite the right passage within the text and use that for your evidence. Okay, so at this point, go to the attached text in the caption below, pull that up, and then read through it. It's a short text; it shouldn't take you too long, and just completely read through it. And then we're going to go over some practice questions and how to use evidence to support the answer to those questions. So here we have three claims focusing on those paragraphs that you just read. And so each one has their own individual question. So the first one is, what solution did Chavez discover to the problem the farm workers faced? The second one is, what are some of the things the union did and how did it affect the Chicano society in general? And three, what effect does Chavez say the governor had on the farm workers movement? So the way to answer these questions best is to go back and look at those paragraphs that we went over, and then use the evidence that you gain from the actual text itself, and then use it to support your answer to the questions. So the way I would answer the first question is I would say organization was the main concept used to kind of solve the problem faced by the farm workers. Constantly throughout the text, you can see that the word organization makes frequent appearances. You can see that Chavez suggests early in his address that organizing will play a role in like the farm workers' response to exploitation when he says that it is his dream of overthrowing the farm labor system in his early days of organizing, which you can see in paragraph 4. Chavez links his success with organizing the farm workers to the experience of learning how to use organization as a tool of empowerment of the community of Mexican American people in San Jose against the oppression of the non-Hispanic Anglo majority. And you can see that with paragraph 6 when he says, I began to realize what other minority people had discovered, that the only answer, that the only hope was in organizing, and people like me had to develop the skills it would take to organize, to educate, to empower the Chicano people. So yeah, you can see how Chavez uses that organizing kind of concept to kind of solve the issues faced by the farmer. Okay, so now we're going to look at the second question and interpret that using evidence, just like we did with the first one. So the United Farm Workers Union, or the UFW, had a positive effect on the Hispanic population in general. And that can be shown because Chavez says that the very fact that the union existed at all was a message to Hispanics everywhere that, quote unquote, we were challenging and overcoming injustice, which you can see in lines 74 and 76. By continuing themselves to be victims, Chavez asserted that the farm workers, quote unquote, they created confidence and pride and hope in an entire people's ability to create the future. And I'm just citing lines 65 to 66 and 68 to 67, or 68 to 70. And so Chavez enables the listener to see that unions did have an effect on the Chicano society, since it helped to enable them to have more pride and hope in their kind of future. And it helped them to kind of organize and fight back for what they really wanted. And this can all be supported and seen throughout the text by just citing that evidence that I went back on earlier in lines 65 to 70. Okay, so the third question is focusing on what effect the governor had on the farm workers movement. So, as looking at the text, Chavez says that the conditions of the farm workers dramatically improved under the passage of the Agricultural Labor Relations Act, which, quote unquote, helped farm workers make progress in overcoming poverty and injustice, in overcoming child labor, and in overcoming miserable wages and working conditions. And that just lines 114 to 121. And so the UFW consequently shifted its focus from using boycotts to further improve farm workers' conditions to winning elections in the political arena. And so these improved working conditions for the farm workers were undermined when the governor was elected in California. And so, according to Chavez, instead of enforcing law, invited farm owners who broke the law to quote unquote seek relief from the governor's appointees. Thus, because it was not enforced, the law that guaranteed the rights of farm workers to organize was rendered impotent and no longer protected farm workers. So, as we can see from the text, it shows that the governor negatively affected farm workers, since through his not enforcing of the law, the farm owners were not guaranteed the rights that they really deserved. And so that's how he negatively affected farm workers. So, all right, guys, so that's what I have for you on making evidence-based claims. The easiest way to go about that is just kind of go through one of those worksheets, come up with pieces of evidence to support your question or the statement that you're making. And yeah, so I'll attach some worksheets and I'll actually attach the text below with a link so you can better look at it.